Hello, and welcome back. Welcome back. It's sort of like a podcast introduction. Like my voice feels softer or something. It's kind of weird. But today we'll talk a little bit about this issue of procedural justice, and this is one of those critical issues because this is something that when we think about like hot topics in the field, this is what's on fire, right? Like it's the kind of thing that gets people up in the morning. Like this is something that they want to study, they want to improve, they want to like demonstrate the benefits of this to the point where this is something that has been in the 21st century task force report on policing under the Obama administration. Highly recommend everyone to read that. Policing under the Obama administration. And what this is seeing, really, right, is a way of improving the relationship between the police and the community. And of course, by at this point in the course, right, this seems like a very common theme, right? And, there's reason for that. And that's mainly because there is, understandably and recognized that there are differences between, the way that certain communities, react to one another, how they have reputations with one another, how they, their willingness to comply, and so on, right? And so this has kind of created like a little bit of an issue where it seemed like, what can we do to, really improve that? And this procedural justice part is one aspect of it. So recall then, right, is that, the ultimate goal of police of doing anything, right, is to what? Right? We want them to protect, we want them to serve, we want them to, do a lot of different things, right? But with this ultimate goal, then, the idea of having this is to serve the public, right? We know that. And ultimately, if we think back to like the Bobby days of policing, where like really old school, right? The goal is to prevent crime. So if we look at that kind of era of policing and things that were put into place, right, all of this was about building a relationship of trust. A trust of what, right? That we have faith that something will be done if someone is a police officer, so something will be done. There is faith in protection. And, there's a little bit of faith, right, that the power of police will not be abused. Because that is, more often than not, the chief defining characteristic between the police and public is an officer's ability to search and seize and use force using their discretion, and they are empowered by the law to do that. So what's a part of that? Like what breaks down on this? Like what goes into this big kind of pie, right? So what we're really asking then, right, is that, we know that we have police, right? We think about this triangle, right? We know that the police can use force, they can, search, and, they have their discretion to do that, right? So, as something that we've already discussed, right, we know that these are, tremendous powers that other people do not have. And yet, realistically, right, we know that the people outnumber police, right? That is something that, often gets mentioned like at a, protest or at a riot. That's also just a fact of life, right? There are far more many cars out there, far more many people out there, far more, people, anything that could really, if we all decided to band together, do something about it, right? And yet, right, if we look at, our society, then there are basically unlimited, I'm going to put unlimited options to commit crime. And we also know that most people do not become serious criminals. Yeah, so it's probably drank underage or used drugs underage, or used drugs, I guess, not underage. I guess now it can be underage depending on how old you are, um, but maybe someone was maybe broken a few windows in abandoned buildings or something like that. We've all probably done some minor kind of stuff, but for when we think about serious stuff, right, most people do not, right? And so what procedural justice is trying to get at is to unpack some of these reasons why and how it relates to police and why it could be better. So we'll go ahead and pause this video here, and we'll pick up this discussion in the next video.